You're listening to Soap Dirt, the latest in television entertainment news.
Hey, Days fans, we have got a comings and goings update for you as things are getting really messy with Fabby talking Chad into marrying her, and her brother, JJ Devereaux, returns to officiate their nuptials. It's Belinda from Soap Dirt, and we're going to talk about whether Abby's brother can sniff out this imposter, because there is a big twist ahead. Things are already messy this week on Days because Leo almost told Chad's kids, oh, by the way, your mom's alive. Meanwhile, fake Abby freaked out when Chad said it's time for her to meet their kids. If you saw that episode, Fabby slipped up and called them his kids and not their kids. But Chad didn't notice yet another red flag about this woman. He is just so focused on the kids finding out from someone else, but Fabby has begged him for more time. And then when Julie showed up with the kids, Fabby lied and told the little ones that she is a friend of their dad's from work. So Chad's planning to stash the kids in Boston with real Abby's parents so nobody can slip up and tell them their mom's alive, which of course she is not, as far as we've seen. And then Chad and Fabby are jetting to Paris to try and spark her memories. Really, what it is Fabby is hoping to spark something else with Chad so she can finish off this con and save her mom. Fabby is so scared that Clyde is going to kill her mother. And of course, she has no idea while she is in Paris trying to lock down Chad that Clyde is going to order Mark to kill Chad. By the end of this week, Fabby is going all out to seduce Chad, get him to put a ring on her finger. But Fabby gets desperate, and by cliffhanger Friday of this week, she takes the initiative to propose to Chad. And of course, Fabby gets a yes to her proposal. Why not? They are still actually legally married. They've been married for several years now, but Chad will do anything for his precious wife. And I think she's going to say, if we redo this wedding, my memories will come back, just con woman stuff. This poor guy is going to be so crushed once the truth is out. But for now, Fabby keeps the lies coming. So next Thursday, October 17th, according to official Days of Our Lives spoilers, Abby's brother, JJ Devereaux, is back to Days, and he will officiate his sister's remarriage to Chad, aka this con woman's new marriage to Chad. And you probably remember, if you're current on episodes, how Jennifer Horton reacted when she met Fabby. She took one look and said, that's not my daughter. And of course, a mother knows her child. The same way Nicole Walker knew when she saw Jude in that baby stroller, she knew that was her son, not just some random kid that Sloan Peterson and Eric Brady adopted. She knew that was Jude. So I feel like JJ might have that same knee-jerk reaction. That's not his sister, but maybe he's going to just set his doubts aside because, according to spoilers, the Fabby and Chad wedding goes off just fine. But it's afterwards that the twist comes. So now let's bring in somebody else to talk about. It's been a minute since we saw Steve Johnson talking about Fabby, and he's the reason for this twist, is what it seems like. If you recall, Steve asked Kayla to run a new DNA test on resurrected Abby without telling anyone. And of course, Kayla refused because it would violate her ethics as a physician. And we all know the reason that Fabby passed the test was because her brother, who Kayla trusts, tampered with it. But maybe Steve found a way around it, because a few days before Chad and Fabby's wedding, Patch makes a vow. He is cooking up a plan to expose Fabby, and he is committed to proving she is an imposter. And it could be at the wedding reception that it all comes out with this twist. The official spoilers from NBC Peacock that we were sent for next week say that the wedding reception takes a sour turn. And it doesn't get more sour than finding out that your bride is a con woman who's been lying to you. So maybe it's right after the wedding when the ugly truth comes out. I am hoping that Steve gets that new DNA test. I mean, we could get a flashback where Patch snuck into the DiMera mansion and stole Fabby's toothbrush or her hairbrush for a sample. You know, even knowing that Fabby and her brother Mark are scheming to save their mother's life, it kind of doesn't make it any better. And with Clyde soon demanding that Mark murder his new brother-in-law, Chad, it's even worse. I mean, imagine if Mark did what Clyde demands and he killed Chad. Because guess what? Poor Thomas and Charlotte would be complete and total orphans with both their real mom, Abby, dead and their father, Chad, dead. And both of them murdered either by Clyde personally or on his orders. And none of this needed to happen. I want to remind you of something else. Remember when Stephen DiMera asked JJ Devereaux to use his contacts with the dark side of the DiMera universe, those mercenaries and hired guns and thugs that Stefano always had around, to have Clyde killed in prison. That was back when Stefan was being forced to run Clyde's drug operation. Otherwise, he was going to have Gabby Hernandez killed in prison. But EJ didn't care. He basically laughed and refused to help him. And now Chad could be killed by Clyde's orders. Also, let's not forget that when EJ died years ago, it was one of Clyde's henchmen that murdered him. Only he wound up saved by Dr. Rolfe, and then Kristen kept her brother in cold storage in that Nashville warehouse, and then a whole bunch of stuff. I think time at a clinic in Italy. Finally, EJ is back to himself. But honestly, how much more havoc are the DiMeras going to allow Clyde to wreak before they take him out like the trash that he is? Stefan doesn't have contact with these mercenaries and bad guys that operate on DiMera orders. Kristen might, but EJ definitely does, and Stefan knows that. And EJ could end all of this tomorrow, especially since Clyde is back at Statesville Prison and out of Supermax, where he's harder to get to. Remember, Steve and John helped Clyde escape not long ago. And once Steve finds out that Clyde is the reason Fabby is in Chad's life, pretending to be his niece Abigail, I mean, maybe he'll be the one to take out that horrible man once and for all. I don't know about you guys, but I'm pretty tired of Clyde Weston. He's been wreaking havoc on the people of Salem for a decade, and it's time for him to go. This Fabby plot is so painful because we know she's not the real Abby, and by all accounts, Chad's actual wife is really dead and gone. So why torment Chad and Days of Our Lives fans by cooking up this twisted Fabby plot? I don't know why they are doing this to us, to Chad, to Abby's parents, to her brother, to her children, but the madness has to stop. And maybe next week it will, at long last, with this twist at the wedding reception. Wait and see.
Thank you for being a loyal listener. Follow us wherever you get your podcast, because you don't want to miss the next episode. Soap Dirt is on all the major podcast platforms, including Apple Podcast, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and more.